What if you caught your family feasting on lobster and sparklers at Chicago's ritziest restaurant while you ate ramen to pay their bills? I'm Emily Carter, and that's the gut punch moment that turned my world upside down. Was I their daughter, their sister, or just their walking ATM? Hit subscribe and join me as we unravel this wild ride. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers and expose the truth together. They call me the family hero. That's the nickname that stuck with me for as long as I can remember. Emily Carter, 32 years old, perpetually single, and apparently the glue that keeps the Carter clan from falling apart. But here's the kicker. I've never once felt like the main character in this story. I'm more like the supporting actress who shows up with a checkbook instead of a script, always ready to save the day while everyone else gets the spotlight. It's a role I've played so long I don't even question it anymore, at least not until recently. I live in Chicago in a cramped one-bedroom apartment downtown that costs more than I'd like to admit. The view's nothing special, just a brick wall and a sliver of Lake Michigan if I squint hard enough, but it's mine. I work as an account manager for a mid-size ad agency, the kind of job that pays decently but leaves you with just enough energy at the end of the day to microwave a frozen burrito and call it dinner. My desk at the office is the only one without a family photo propped up next to the computer. No kids, no husband, no golden retriever staring back at me. Too busy keeping everyone else afloat, I'd joke to my coworkers when they asked why. They'd laugh, but I don't think they realized how true it was. My family's the classic suburban American setup, the kind you'd see in a sitcom if it weren't so dysfunctional behind the scenes. There's my parents, James and Margaret Carter, both in their late 60s, retired, and living in a modest split-level house about 30 minutes outside the city in Oak Park. Dad was a mechanic for 40 years, Mom a receptionist at a dentist's office. Hardworking folks who raised me to pitch in whenever someone needed help. They've been on a fixed pension for the last 6 years, and if you ask them, they'll tell you it's barely enough to keep the lights on. Then there's my older sister, Lauren Hayes, 37, married to her college boyfriend, Mike, a quiet guy who works in IT. They've got 3 boys. Jake's 12, Noah's 9, and little Liam just turned 6 and live in a cul-de-sac 10 minutes from Mom and Dad. Lauren's the golden child, the one who settled down and gave my parents grandkids to dote on, while I'm the one who stayed in the city, chasing a career and, apparently, a never-ending list of family favors. Sunday dinners at my parents' place have been a ritual since I was a kid. It's the one time a week we all pile into that old house, the air thick with the smell of Mom's pot roast and the sound of the boys arguing over who gets the last roll. I pull into the driveway behind Lauren's beat-up minivan, a bottle of cheap Cabernet in hand, and brace myself for the chaos. Last Sunday was typical. Jake and Noah sprawled across the living room rug, thumbs flying over their Nintendo Switches, while Liam toddled around, knocking over anything he could reach. Mom was in the kitchen, apron tied tight, sliding a tray of roasted potatoes into the oven. Dad sat at the table, nursing a Bud Light and scrolling through his phone, probably checking the Cubs score. "There's our Emily," he said, looking up with a grin as I set the wine on the counter. "How's the big city treating you?" "Busy," I said, forcing a smile. "Works nonstop, but it's good." That's my go-to line, vague enough to avoid a lecture about how I should slow down and find a nice guy. Mom hip-checked the oven door shut and wiped her hands on a dish towel. "Emily, hun, can you set the table? Lauren's boys have been running me ragged all day." I nodded, grabbing a stack of mismatched plates from the cabinet. "It's what I do. Show up, pitch in, keep things running." No complaints, no questions, just Emily, the family hero, right on cue. Dinner was the usual circus. Lauren barked at Jake to put his game down. Noah shoveled mashed potatoes into his mouth like he hadn't eaten in days, and Liam smeared gravy on the tablecloth while Mom pretended not to notice. I sat there, picking at my plate, half listening as Lauren launched into a story about Noah's latest school project, a diorama of the solar system that cost a fortune in supplies. "You should have seen it, Em," she said, beaming. "He got an A+, my little Einstein." I nodded, sipping my wine, wondering, not for the first time, why I felt more like an outsider at these dinners than a part of the family. It wasn't always like this. I used to love Sundays, the noise, the warmth, the feeling of belonging, but somewhere along the way it shifted. I can pinpoint the moment it started, 6 years ago, when Liam was born. Lauren called me in tears, saying she couldn't afford a new stroller after Mike's hours got cut at work. "It's only $200, Em. I'll pay you back," she promised. I canceled a weekend trip with friends to send her the cash. She never paid me back. That was the first time, but it wasn't the last. Car repairs for Dad, grocery runs for Mom, soccer cleats for Jake. It just kept piling up. I tell myself, it's what family does. You help each other out. But lately, I've been wondering, when does helping out turn into being taken for granted? Take last month, for example. I'd been eyeing a promotion at work, a senior account manager gig that would have meant a move to New York, a bigger paycheck, a fresh start. I was this close to saying yes when Mom called, voice trembling. "Emily, we need you here. Your dad's knee is acting up again and Lauren's stretched thin with the boys. We can't manage without you." I turned down the offer the next day, told my boss it wasn't the right time. She looked at me like I was crazy, and maybe I was. But that's me. Emily Carter, the one who puts everyone else first, even when it means staying stuck. As I drove home from that Sunday dinner, the city lights blurring past my windshield, I couldn't shake the question nagging at me. What does family really mean? Is it giving until you've got nothing left? Is it saying yes every time they ask, even when it costs you your own dreams? I've spent years playing the hero, but I'm starting to wonder who's saving me. Maybe you've been there too, caught between love and obligation, wondering where the line is. Tell me in the comments, are you the hero in your family? And if you are, who's looking out for you? Last Sunday started like any other. Me pulling into my parents' driveway in Oak Park, the faint hum of Chicago traffic fading behind me, a bottle of $10 Cabernet clutched in my hand. I was already tired from a 50-hour work week, but I plastered on a smile and stepped into the chaos of the Carter family dinner. Little did I know, this wasn't going to be just another night of pot roast and small talk. This was the night the cracks in my family hero facade started to show. And they showed big time. The scene was predictable at first. Mom, Margaret, was bustling around the kitchen, her apron streaked with gravy as she pulled a steaming roast from the oven. Dad, James, sat at the table, his Bud Light sweating onto a coaster, muttering about the Cubs' latest loss. Lauren's boys, Jake, Noah, and Liam, were a tornado of noise in the living room, their video game sound effects clashing with Liam's high-pitched giggles. I set the wine on the counter and got the usual greeting from Dad. "There's our Emily, the city slicker." I laughed it off, but inside I was already bracing myself. Something about the air felt heavier than usual. Dinner kicked off with the standard routine. I set the table, because of course I did, while Lauren wrangled the boys into their seats. Jake, 12 going on 20, slumped into his chair with his Switch still in hand until Mom shot him a look. Noah shoveled food like it was a race, and Liam smeared mashed potatoes across his face like modern art. I slid into my spot, picking at my plate, when Lauren cleared her throat and slid a piece of paper across the table toward me. "I got organized this time," she said, her voice dripping with self-satisfaction. "This is everything the boys need for next month." I looked down and my stomach dropped. It wasn't just a list. It was a damn novel. Laser-printed single-space with dollar amounts next to every item like a grocery receipt from hell. New basketball shoes for Jake, $120. Summer camp fees for Noah, $400. A whole new wardrobe for Liam because he'd outgrown everything, $250. It went on and on. School supplies, a science fair project, even a birthday gift for Jake's friend at the bottom, in bold, total $1,800. I stared at it, my fork frozen halfway to my mouth. $1,800. That's more than my rent, more than I'd spent on myself in the last 6 months combined. "I'll take care of it," I said, the words slipping out like they always do, automatic after years of conditioning. Lauren beamed. You're a lifesaver, Em. Seriously. I pulled out my phone, my shiny new iPhone 14 Pro, the one I had saved 3 months for after my old one died, and snapped a photo of the list. I've learned to keep records of these loans that never come back. That's when Mom's eyes zeroed in on me like a hawk. Is that the new iPhone? She asked, her voice sharp enough to cut glass. The one that costs, what, over $1,000? I slid the phone back into my pocket, heat creeping up my neck. Yeah, my old one stopped working, I mumbled. Mom set a slice of apple pie in front of me with a thud. Emily, have you lost your mind spending that kind of money on a phone when your nephews need new gear for basketball camp? Jake's team is going to regionals. Her tone was pure disappointment, the kind that's been weaponized against me since I was a kid. Dad chimed in, not even looking up from his beer. Seems a bit excessive, hon. Those boys need all the support they can get. I gripped my fork tighter, my face burning. I know about regionals, I said quietly. I've been paying for Jake's team fees for 2 years now. Mom didn't miss a beat. Still, a phone like that, we raised you better than to throw money around. Lauren shot me a glance, half sympathy, half agreement, while adjusting her sweater. A cashmere sweater, I noticed, soft and gray and definitely new. It's just a gift from Mike, she'd said earlier when I complimented. A gift, right? The table went quiet for a second, the kind of silence that feels like everyone's waiting for me to apologize. I'll handle the list, I said finally, my voice tight. I always do, don't I? No one answered, but Lauren reached over and patted my hand. We all splurge sometimes, Em. It's okay. I almost laughed. Splurge? Me? The woman who'd eaten ramen 4 nights last week to cover the $500 I sent Dad for a leaky pipe 2 weeks ago? The irony wasn't lost on me, especially with Lauren sitting there in her gift sweater, probably worth more than my grocery budget. I excused myself early, claiming a Monday morning meeting. Hugged everyone goodbye, smiled through the motions. But the drive back to my apartment was anything but peaceful. My hands gripped the wheel as that list burned a hole in my mind. $1,800. Basketball shoes, camp fees, a birthday gift. And then there was Mom's voice. Have you lost your mind? I kept replaying it, the judgment slicing deeper each time. I thought about the pipe repair money, the soccer cleats, the endless emergencies. If I didn't pay, would they really not make it? Or was I just the easy fix they'd all gotten used to? By the time I parked in my spot downtown, I was seething. I sat there, staring at my dashboard, the glow of my new phone taunting me from the passenger seat. I'd worked overtime for that phone, skipped nights out, told myself I deserved one nice thing, and yet here I was, feeling guilty for it while Lauren's boys got new Nikes and Mom got her pipes fixed. When had family turned into me footing the bill for everyone else's life? I grabbed my bag and headed upstairs, the question looping in my head. Is there a limit to helping family? Or am I just being selfish for wanting to say no? Drop your thoughts below. I need to know I'm not alone in this. 2 weeks after that Sunday dinner disaster, I was still reeling from the $1,800 list Lauren had shoved across the table and the guilt trip from Mom and Dad about my iPhone. I'd sent the money the next day, like always, wiring it to Lauren's account with a quick, "let me know if you need anything else" text. She replied with a breezy, "Thanks, Em, you're the best." And that was it. No breakdown of how it'd be spent, no promise to pay me back, just the same old assumption that I'd keep the cash flowing. I told myself it was fine. Family helps family, right? But that nagging question from the drive home, is there a limit? Kept buzzing in my head like a mosquito I couldn't swat away. That Friday, I finally had plans to break the cycle. My friends Jess and Tara had been begging me to join them for drinks downtown, a monthly ritual I'd skipped too often lately, either because work was a beast or my bank account was too drained from family emergencies. This time, I said yes. I needed a night out, a chance to feel like Emily Carter, not just the Carter family ATM. We met at a cozy bar on Michigan Avenue, all dim lights and overpriced cocktails. Jess pulled me into a hug the second I walked in. Girl, where have you been hiding? She teased, her braids swinging as she laughed. Work, mostly, I said, sliding onto a bar stool. You know how it is. For a couple of hours, I let myself forget. Tara regaled us with her latest dating app horror story. A guy who showed up with his mom. And Jess bragged about landing a new client at her PR firm. I laughed until my sides hurt, sipping a $14 mojito that tasted like freedom. It was the first time in weeks I didn't feel like I was drowning under everyone else's needs. We hugged goodbye around 10 p.m. and I headed to my car, the streets buzzing with Friday night energy. Couples strolling hand in hand, groups of friends spilling out of bars, normal people living normal lives. I almost felt like one of them. Then I hit a red light on Grand Avenue and everything changed. There, parked right in front of Le Chateau, the swankiest restaurant in Chicago, was my parents' silver Toyota Camry. I blinked, sure I was seeing things, but no, there it was. Dad's old Fix-It 69 vanity plate glinting under the streetlights. Le Chateau wasn't just fancy, it was the kind of place where a steak cost $75 and a glass of wine could set you back $20. The kind of place my parents had always called pretentious and for people with more money than sense. What the hell? I muttered, my hands tightening on the wheel. Before I could think twice, I pulled into a spot across the street and got out. Through the restaurant's massive front windows, I saw them. All of them. Mom and Dad sat by the window, facing out. Dad in a suit jacket I'd never seen before. Mom in a black dress with a pearl necklace gleaming against her collarbone. Across from them were Lauren and Mike. Lauren's earrings catching the chandelier light every time she moved. Jake, Noah, and Liam were squeezed in at the ends, dressed up like little gentlemen, digging into desserts that looked like they belonged in an art gallery. The table was a mess of plates. Steaks, lobster tails, a bottle of red wine, and what looked like a cake with sparklers fizzing on top. They were laughing, clinking glasses, looking happier than I'd seen them in years. They looked rich. I stood there, frozen on the sidewalk, my breath fogging in the chilly March air. A couple brushed past me to enter the restaurant, giving me a weird look, and I realized I must have looked like a stalker, mouth open, staring through the glass like I'd caught them robbing a bank. My hands shook as I pulled out my iPhone, the one Mom had shamed me for, and snapped a few photos, barely aware of what I was doing. My mind was racing too fast to process. These were the people who'd begged me for $500 to fix a pipe 2 weeks ago. The ones who'd guilted me over $1,800 for necessities, while I ate ramen to make rent. And here they were, living it up at a place I couldn't afford to step foot in. I stumbled back to my car, my legs wobbly, and sat there gripping the wheel. That's when it hit me. Jessica. My high school friend Jessica Torres worked at Le Chateau as an assistant manager. We'd reconnected at our 10-year reunion, swapped numbers, liked each other's Instagram posts now and then. I fumbled with my phone and called her, my voice sounding alien even to myself. Jess, hey, sorry to call out of nowhere, I said when she picked up. You still live Le Chateau, right? Yeah, 5 years now, she said, cheerful as ever. You finally coming to try the truffle risotto? I swallowed hard. Actually, I just drove by and saw my parents there. The Carters, older couple, probably with my sister Lauren and her 3 boys. There was a pause, then Jessica's voice brightened. Oh, the Carters. Yeah, they're regulars. Here almost every Friday. Your dad loves the ribeye, and your mom's obsessed with our creme brulee. They've got a VIP card. Twice a month minimum. Last week, they threw Noah's birthday here with indoor sparklers. Those boys are a riot. I felt like I'd been punched. Noah's birthday? I croaked. Yeah, big party, Jessica said. Super cute. I hung up, my phone slipping onto my lap. Noah's birthday. The same week, Lauren texted me. Need $300 for school stuff, Em. Things are tight. I'd sent it without a second thought. Now I knew where it went. Sparklers and steak, not school supplies. I pulled up Lauren's Instagram, hands trembling, and there it was. A post from last Friday. all of them grinning at Le Chateau with the caption, "Family night, blessed, blessed with my money." The drive home was a blur. 10 grand, maybe more, they'd spent there in a year while I skipped vacations, worked overtime, bought generic groceries. Who were these people? And why was I still playing the fool? Tell me in the comments. If you caught your family lying like this, what would you do? I didn't sleep that night after seeing my family, mom, dad, Lauren, Mike, and the boys, feasting at Le Chateau like Chicago royalty. I spent hours on my couch, staring at the photos I'd snapped through the window. Dad in a suit jacket, mom with her pearls, Lauren's earrings glinting, sparklers on Noah's birthday cake. It played on a loop in my head. Jessica's words echoed too, regulars, every Friday, VIP card. And that Instagram post from Lauren, blessed, captioned with a lie while I sent her $300 for school stuff. By morning, my shock had hardened into something else. Anger. Not the quiet, simmering kind I'd swallowed for years, but a white-hot fury that demanded answers. I made coffee, black, no sugar, because I was too wired to care, and sat at my tiny kitchen table, the list from 2 weeks ago still glaring at me from my phone. $1,800 for the boys. Basketball shoes, camp fees, a birthday gift. I thought about the $500 for Dad's leaky pipe, the countless other emergencies I'd covered. Then I thought about Le Chateau, $75 steaks, $20 wine, sparklers that cost more than my weekly groceries. My hands shook as I dialed Mom's number. It rang 3 times before she picked up, her voice groggy. "Emily, it's 7 a.m. Is everything okay?" "No, Mom, it's not," I said, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. "I saw you all at Le Chateau last night, the whole family. Dad, Lauren, Mike, the boys, having quite the party." Silence. Dead silence, like the line had dropped. Then she stammered, "What are you talking about?" I didn't let her wiggle out. "I drove by, I took pictures, you were there, Mom, pearls and all. I called Jessica Torres, she works there. Said you're regulars, VIPs, every Friday night. Dad gets the ribeye, you love the creme brulee. Ring any bells?" Another long pause. I could almost hear her scrambling for an excuse. "Well," she finally said, her voice small, "Mike got a bonus at work. He wanted to treat us. It's not a big deal." I laughed. A sharp, bitter sound that startled even me. "Not a big deal? A bonus? You've been going every Friday for months, Mom. Jessica told me about Noah's birthday last week. Sparklers, the works. The same week, Lauren begged me for $300 because things were tight." "You're lying to me." "Emily, you don't understand," she started, but I cut her off. "No, I understand perfectly. You've been using me, taking my money for pipes and camp fees while you live it up at a place I can't even afford to walk into. I eat ramen 3 nights a week to keep you all afloat, and you're eating steak and sipping wine like it's nothing." My voice rose, steady but firm. "Do you know I haven't taken a vacation in 4 years? That my savings account's a joke because I'm always bailing you out? And you have the nerve to guilt me over a phone?" Mom's tone shifted, defensive now. "That's not fair. We're your parents. We raised you." "And that phone was extravagant." I stopped her cold. "This isn't about the phone. It's about years of manipulation. You don't need my money for necessities. You need it for Le Chateau." "I'm done, Mom. Done being your ATM." She gasped, a sharp intake of breath. "So what? You're abandoning us? What about the boys? They've got regionals coming up." I didn't flinch. "They've got parents. Parents who can afford sparklers and VIP cards. They'll figure it out." I hung up before she could guilt me back into line. My phone buzzed almost instantly. "Lauren," I answered, bracing myself. "What the hell did you say to Mom?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "She's crying her eyes out." I didn't back down. I told her the truth. "I know about Le Chateau, the Friday nights, the birthdays, the lies. I saw you all there, Lauren. Let's, right, with my money?" She switched gears fast from angry to pleading. You don't get it, Em. Like, Mike and I are struggling with the boys' expenses. Those dinners are just a break, a treat. I wasn't buying it. A treat? I saw your Instagram. New earrings, that sweater from Sunday, a purse I'd never dream of touching. Where'd you think I thought that money came from? You're being selfish, she snapped, flipping back to anger. The boys need you. I kept my voice calm, cold. They need parents who don't lie to their aunt, who don't teach them it's okay to mooch off family. You want to talk selfish? Look at your credit card bill, not mine. She went quiet, then tried one last jab. Fine. Cut us off. But the boys won't understand why Aunt Emily's gone. I fired back, tell them the truth. Adults have to pay their own way. I'm not punishing them. I'm just done paying for your lifestyle. I hung up, blocked her number, then blocked Mom and Dad's too. My hands were trembling, but my chest felt lighter, like I'd finally exhaled after holding my breath for years. The next few days were a barrage. Mom texted from a friend's phone. Fridge is empty again, Em. We're struggling. I deleted it. Lauren emailed me a revised list. $900 for bare essentials. I trashed it without replying. Dad left a voicemail. This isn't how we raised you. I didn't call back. They even tried my work line once. My assistant told them I was in a meeting. I wasn't. I was done. By the end of the week, I'd made a decision. No more. No more lists, no more guilt trips, no more playing the hero while they played me for a fool. I opened my banking app and transferred the $1,000 I'd saved for their next emergency into a new savings account for me. It felt radical, selfish even, but right. I was taking my life back, one blocked number at a time. Tell me in the comments, is cutting off family ever the right move? Would you forgive them or walk away like I did? It's been 6 months since I hung up on Mom, blocked Lauren's number, and stopped being the Carter family's personal bank. 6 months since I saw them living it up at Le Chateau while I scraped by on ramen and guilt. The first few weeks after that final showdown were a whirlwind. Anger, relief, and a weird kind of grief all tangled up together. But as the dust settled, something incredible happened. I started living for me. Not for their lists, not for their emergencies, but for Emily Carter. And let me tell you, it feels damn good. The fallout hit them harder than I expected, or maybe they just wanted me to think it did. A mutual friend, Sarah, from high school, called me a month in. Hey, Em, your mom asked me to check on you, she said, her voice hesitant. She says you've abandoned them, that they're struggling to pay off a loan they took out for Lauren's SUV. I sighed. Struggling, huh? Did she mention the VIP card at the Chicago apartment? Or the sparklers for Noah's birthday? Sarah paused. No. But she was wearing a new bracelet last time I saw her. Said it was a gift. I laughed. Bitter, but not surprised. Yeah, they're pros at playing broke. Tell her I'm fine and I'm done. Lauren's story unraveled too. Another friend, Tara, spilled the tea over drinks one night. Girl, Lauren's a mess, she said, swirling her wine. Mike found out she's got $20,000 in credit card debt, designer bags, shoes, the works. She was using your money to keep up the minimum payments. When you cut her off, it all crashed. I stared at her, my mojito halfway to my lips. 20 grand, Tara nodded. Mike's furious. Made her start therapy for a shopping addiction. She's telling everyone. You're the bad guy, though? I shrugged. Let her. I'm not her ATM anymore. Turns out Mom and Dad had co-signed that $15,000 SUV loan for Lauren, expecting me to chip in like always. When I didn't, they picked up part-time shifts at Walmart. Not because they're destitute, but because Lauren wouldn't help them out of her own mess. They kept trying to reel me back in. Mom sent her classic empty fridge photo from a burner number 2 months ago. Same old sob story. I deleted it. Lauren called from a friend's phone once, voice thick with tears. The boys miss you, Em. Jake had to quit basketball because we couldn't pay the fees. Is that what you wanted? If basketball matters, sell one of your bags, I said coolly. Or skip a Les Chateau night. Your call. She hung up, and I blocked that number too. The last attempt was an email from Lauren last week. Jake cries every night asking where Aunt Emily went. I saw it for what it was. Manipulation, not truth. Jake's 12. He'd survive without me funding his jump shots. Meanwhile, my life? It's blooming. That $1,000 I moved to a new savings account after the cutoff, it's grown to $5,000. 6 months of no emergencies will do that. 3 months in, I bought myself a used Honda Civic. Nothing flashy, just reliable with a sunroof I roll back on sunny days. It's mine. Paid in cash. No loans, no guilt. Last month, I booked my first real vacation in years. A week in Hawaii. A dream I'd shelved since college because family comes first. I can already taste the pineapple and feel the sand between my toes. My apartment's finally looking like a home too. New throw pillows, a rug I don't hate, a bookshelf stuffed with novels I've actually had time to read. I've started living again, not just surviving. I joined a book club that meets every Thursday. Last week, we argued over The Great Gatsby and drank too much Pinot. I signed up for a hiking group too. We tackled Starved Rock last weekend, and I forgot how much I love the burn in my legs and the quiet of the woods. I've even been on a few dates. Nothing serious yet, just coffee or drinks with guys from apps. One laughed when I told him I used to be my family's sugar auntie. Sounds exhausting, he said. It was, I replied, and left it at that. I'm not rushing into anything, but it's nice to remember I'm more than a checkbook. The calls have slowed, but they haven't stopped. Mom still tells anyone who'll listen that I abandoned them in their hour of need. Lauren's latest tactic is emailing sob stories from new accounts. Liam doesn't understand why you hate us. I delete them unread. I don't hate them. I love those boys, always will. But I won't be manipulated anymore. If they miss me, it's not me they're missing. It's the cash flow. Lauren tried one last time last week, calling from Tara's phone. Em, please, she begged. You're punishing us. The boys need you. I stayed calm. I'm single with no kids, Lauren, and I still couldn't afford your lifestyle. Maybe explain to Jake why mommy needed another purse instead of his basketball fees. She hung up, and Tara texted me later. She's pissed, but I get it. I don't feel guilty anymore, not like I used to. I used to think loving myself was selfish, that family meant giving until it hurt. Now I know it's about balance, about boundaries. I hope Mom, Dad, and Lauren figure out how to live within their means someday. I hope the boys grow up understanding actions have consequences. Not just mine, but their parents too. Whether they learn that or not, it's not my burden to carry anymore. My bank account's growing, my calendar's full, and for the first time in years, I'm excited to see what's next. Tell me in the comments, is loving yourself more important than family duty? Or am I too harsh for cutting them off? I want to hear your take.